Joycelyn, is that you?
Hello, Melanie. The floor is yours. You're muted. Oh, there you go.
Yep, just trying to click. Good evening. My name is Melanie Campbell. I'm president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and national convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. I also am a co-founder of the National Coalition's Thomas W. Deutsch Jr. Institute for Leadership Development, Civic Engagement, Economic Empowerment, and Social Justice, and we're anchored at Clark Atlanta University. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our third session of the Black Women's Roundtable Wealth Builder Series. Tonight, our topic is understanding the financial projections, business tax, and digital accounting tools. The Wealth Builder Series is part of the Black Women's Roundtable Digital Equity Project and Women's Economic Empowerment Project, supported by Goldman Sachs. The project is housed at the Thomas W. Deutsch Jr. Institute that's led by Janice Mathis, who's our director. The purpose of this series is to provide job seekers with skills for career transition and advancement, and aspiring and established business owners with tools to help them start or grow their businesses. It is our hope that the information that's provided by tonight's experts, and we thank all of our experts here tonight who are on this call, who will share their knowledge and expertise, will serve as a guide to help you build wealth for you and your families. And now I want to turn it over. I think I'm going to turn it over to you, Jocelyn, because I don't see Janice on here, who is our director of our Black Women's Roundtable Digital Equity Project, as well as our Senior Tech Policy Advisor. Jocelyn, I turn it back over to you. And I thank again all of you, and for all of you all who are joining tonight. And if you're watching, share it with someone else. Share that link with someone you think that could use the information. So thank you, Jocelyn. Turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Melanie. And thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And I just want to say again, welcome. We have some dynamic experts here on our panel tonight that are going to be giving you some wonderful information about how to manage the money for your business and to keep yourself out of trouble with Uncle Sam. So let me go ahead and introduce both of them to you so we can get started. Our first speaker is going to be Ednethia Thomas. She is the chief strategist at E. Thomas Financial Group, where she's known as the bridge builder. She is an experienced financial consultant, a business strategist, a tax expert, and a certified Scrum Master who guides individuals and organizations through financial management and business growth. She's also the vice president of the community outreach and client services at SCORE in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she's known for her dedication to empowering entrepreneurs and fostering collaborations. Her collaborations with organizations such as Freedom Financial Advantage, Peacock Soul Care Institute, Strayer University, and the African think tank all demonstrate her commitment to community engagement and inspiring collaboration among diverse groups, and her holistic approach to leadership. After Ms. Thomas, we have Dorothy Smith. She is the founder of DMS Bookkeeping. She has over 30 years of accounting experience, including 20 years in the U.S. Air Force. We thank you for your service there as a financial management specialist. She is an IRS enrolled agent and a certified tax resolution specialist. She holds a master's degree in accounting, and she volunteers. After all of that, she finds time to volunteer her expertise to the SCORE and the VITA programs. And with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Ms. Thomas to lead us on.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tate, and thank you for this opportunity to serve this beautiful community of sisters. I'm excited to be here, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. So I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, it's there.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So let me see if I can go in full screen. I think if I go in full screen, it will not show. But if I do it this way, it will. Right? Perfect. All right. So again, my name is Anithia Thomas. I am the Bridge Builder, and I am so excited to be here. Financial literacy is my favorite conversation. Why? Because so many people need it. So many people need to have the conversation, and so many people would like to have the conversation, but sometimes just don't quite understand what they need to know about finances, especially when it relates to their business. Okay. So we're going to jump right in to some of my favorite things, okay? If you know anything about me, and if you don't already know, you will learn tonight. A few of my favorite things are the butterfly, the bridge, obviously the bridge builder, sunflowers, and sunlight. And this quote at the top says, beautiful things happen when we harmonize. So what does this have to do with finances and financial projections as it relates to business? Is because whenever we prepare to determine what our financial projections are in business, there has to be harmony. There has to be harmony with what we know. There has to be harmony with what we're forecasting. There has to be harmony with the current economy. Okay. So we have to bridge the gap between all of those things. And I'm going to show you how to do that together tonight. All right. I do like a little interaction. So if you could just maybe type in the chat, if you are starting a business for the first time, if you've never started a business, but you're thinking about it, if you are in the workplace, I just want to know who I'm talking to tonight. So if you could put that in the chat, I would greatly appreciate it. Building bridges, the art of harmony, is how we're going to start this off. So why do I talk about butterflies so much? Because there's transformation and growth in the process of becoming a butterfly. There's all the things that happen, and those things happen in business. As you are considering transforming yourselves from potentially professionals in the workplace in corporate America to seemingly business owners, there is a transformation that has to take place right here in your mind. So as we are considering what that transformation looks like, I would like for you to consider the butterfly, because that is one of the most visibly transforming opportunities that we have to see what this experience could be. Now, the next one is the sunflower. And why? Because it represents loyalty and strength. You have to be loyal to yourself, right? Your beliefs, the things that you are morally sound in, and you have to be strong, right? If you have ever been in business before, if you are considering it, strength is something that we need, and we all know where that strength comes from. And the final thing is sunlight. The sunlight energizes us, and it gives us inspiration. So now, what does all of this have to do again, Miss Lady, with finances? Well, we're going to start right here. Seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Because at the foundation of what we do in business, there has to be something solid that we're building on. Okay. So whenever you're talking about projections and you're talking about finances, there has to be knowledge, first of all, but there also has to be a sense of faith that you are infusing into your business, right? And so as you are thinking about those numbers, sometimes people go extremely high, and sometimes people just don't go high enough. So we have to have faith at the core of everything that we do as it relates to business. The second scripture is my personal favorite. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. That's Proverbs 16:3. Why does this matter? Because we don't always know what we're doing in business, right? We don't always know where we're going in business. So determining that right here up front at the foundation of your projections is extremely important. Now that we've kind of laid a foundation as to where we may or may not go in business, it's time to start putting some pen to paper and determining exactly what these goals may look like. So the purpose of financial projections are three key things. Communicate your business story in numbers, build investor and lender confidence, and prepare for future opportunities. Now, what this sounds like in layman's terms, y'all, is we have to make our numbers make sense to people who can make decisions about how we're going to start our business in terms of capital. So whether we are considering going to a traditional bank, if we're talking about going to a private lender, if we're looking for anything that might be a little more non-traditional, they still want to know what your numbers look like, okay? Recently, I met with a client who had some really high astronomical numbers. I mean, like, y'all, $250,000 first year. And it sounds good, right? Because our ideas are that brilliant. We are a wonderful people. On the other side of that is, what is the probability of that happening? Have you done your market research? Does your market research actually match your projections? Have you considered that what you're doing in one place may look different if you're doing it in another place? Are the businesses that you're doing your market research on in the same location as you? Do they have a long history of business in terms of clientele that exists already? What does this look like, and how did they come to these numbers? So that's what your numbers have to communicate to another business owner or to a lender who is looking to partner with you in some way. Now, when you're looking to build the investor or lender confidence, there has to be a nice middle, okay? When I say don't go too high, that doesn't mean that you want to diminish your goals or that you don't have faith in what you're doing. It just simply means that it needs to be comfortable to someone who is interested in investing in your business, okay? The other part of that is, we've talked about projecting your revenue, but there's also a portion of that where you're projecting your expenses. As you are projecting your expenses, sometimes we tend to go too low, okay? What that means is we're not necessarily putting in all of the things. We haven't thought about all of the things that go into managing this business. So as we are putting in those figures, you want your revenue to be somewhere in a medium range of what the probability of your projections being in terms of revenue, depending on your area, depending on your market data as it relates to your client base, and then also what the potential is for that business in those different areas. But the other side is, do your research on what it costs to do business in your industry. Finally, prepare for future opportunities. What does the future hold for your business as it relates to next steps? Do you anticipate selling your business at a certain point? Are you thinking that maybe you're going to do an equity investor, or maybe this is someone who's going to stick it out with you for the duration of the life of that business? So all of these are key questions that you want to make sure you're asking yourself so that you can further answer the questions on that first slide. Now, most people are just like, okay, well, how long should I make this plan? How many years should I really start looking at these projections in order for someone to take it into consideration in terms of investing? 3 to 5 years is the sweet spot. Okay, because in 3 to 5 years, your business is just beyond some level of maturity, but not quite at its peak growth rate. Okay, you're still getting your feet wet. You're still getting acclimated to some things. That first year, you guys, is really going to look like, do you even know what you're doing, right? And that's a feeling that we've all had. Anybody who's been in business for 6 months or 20 years understands that that first year feels like, what did I just get into? Don't run. Don't run. It's common, it's normal, it feels funny, it feels very weird. People are going to look at you like you're out of your mind. You just have to stay grounded, stay focused, surround yourself with people who understand where you're going. And that might also mean realigning who's in that inner circle for a little while, because that first year is critical. Okay. Now, what we're doing in those 3 to 5 years is we are looking at the revenue growth goals. We can set a goal, but then once we get to the end of that first year or that first 6 months, whatever that goal is that we've set, assess it and assess it quickly. We need to know our numbers like we know our social security numbers, like we know our children's date of birth. We need to know our numbers like we know what's in our bank account, okay? You have to be able to identify very quickly what your revenue growth goals are. That's based off of what's happened. So if we get to month 6, we need to be able to identify what happened between months 1 and 6, and then be able to predetermine what's going to happen between months 7 and 12. That first year, we should be able to go back over 12 months and project what's going to happen in year 2. Right? Because we already have a year under our belt. We can identify what some of those trends are. I like to tell people, keep yourself a journal. If you're a business owner and you're not journaling, go get you one right now. I have a beautiful journal here, and this is the perfect group for it. It says, God goes growing and glowing. And on the back of it is a beautiful brown woman. So go get you one. Start writing down what's happening in your business day after day, month over month, especially as it relates to what you're doing and how your money's growing in your business. This is going to help you to identify what I like to call a live document. We're going to get to that live document in just a second, but it will help you to identify profit margins and your key assumptions so that you can be as tactical and precise with your projections as possible. Now, projected income statements. You want to have a sales forecast. Everybody understands that that just basically means how much can you do or can you produce over time. But what's the cost of those goods? As you know, this economy is fluctuating day and night, literally. Are you able to keep up with the cost of the goods that are sold, right? If you haven't already, put in the chat what some of your businesses are, so that we can maybe kind of relate some of them in just a moment. Gross profit is another one. That just simply means overall, the bigger picture here, how much money is your business bringing in? That's the gross, right? When we start talking about net income, it just simply means, hey, from that gross profit, I've got to subtract the cost of the goods sold, my operating expenses, and now I have the net. And so whenever we're talking about doing business with other people, we have to identify one key thing up front. When we're talking to people about our sales forecast and they're asking us, hey, how much money do you need? We love the sound of that as women. We love the sound of that. How much money do you need, right? But then you have to also listen for how much money they're looking to get from you in return. Okay. And that's when we get a real serious face, because you're asking me for money. I'm sorry. What did you say? Yes. When a person invests in your business, they're looking for something in return. How much are we going to give them? One. Two, are we going to give this to them from the gross profit or the net income? And that's a key question to ask, and that's a key response to listen for. If they're looking for the gross, then now we're inserting that repayment before we can even get to our net income. You understand? And if we're saying it's after the fact, whew, then we can breathe a little bit, right? And that's how we're able to determine how to move forward with some of these opportunities that may come our way. Now, focus on cash flow projections and flexibility. This is so important, and we can't talk about it enough, because cash inflows and outflows, how is your money coming in and out? How are you spending? Are you spending with a debit card? Are you spending with checks? Are you doing ACHs? Are you using credit cards? And then how are you managing the books? What does that look like? Are you using a system or a software? Are you using spreadsheets? What does all of this mean at the end of the month? And then how do we foresee this planning out over time, right? Some people say, well, listen, I'm good starting out with a spreadsheet until we're, $500,000 in. And then it's like, whoa, I need something that's a little more automated, because this is just a little bit too much math for me, right? Seasonality adjustments. Are you busier in the winter than you are in the summer? Does your spring and fall match? When do we need to really beef up our marketing, and when do we need to really anticipate making sure that we have some reserves so that we don't fall into a drought? We don't want to run the risk of, spending quickly, because money comes in quickly before we can anticipate what the other seasons will look like, right? As tax professionals, some of us, and I'm sure Miss Smith can attest, we have very busy, heavy seasons during tax time. Then we slow down a little bit, and then it picks back up again in the fall. Why? Because there are two different tax seasons. There is the traditional tax season that stops in April or slows down a little bit after April or May. And then it lets us breathe in the summertime and pretend like we got the rest of the year off before it ramps back up in the fall, because there's a secondary deadline where people can, of course, file their extensions and file their taxes late. So that's what that looks like, right? So in those slower months, if we have spent or overspent because money was booming in the early spring and the winter, we haven't had enough reserves. So that's what we have to be mindful of in our business. So I see someone says that they are a treasurer for a veteran nonprofit organization, and I want to learn more. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So focus on cash flow projections and flexibility. And we're going to kind of talk about what this looks like in a spreadsheet format. And we're going to give that to you tonight. I know it's a gift, and you're going to see why it's a gift in just a minute. But balance sheet snapshots, break-even analysis, these are all things that really help you to identify exactly where you are. These are quick one-sheeters that you can send over to someone who may be interested in investing in your business, so that they can see at a glance how your business is performing, okay? All right, so forecasting tools and templates. And we are almost to a point of being able to take a look at those sample documents. So keep it clear, concise, and credible. We don't want people thinking, oh, they've, made a cash cow in investing in your business, and you've never sold the first slipper, right? This is a way that I call it, ladies, a bait and switch. You don't want to bait people in with these fascinating numbers, and then once they're in and they're giving you their money, then you're like, oops, sorry, I messed around and found out that that's not exactly how this goes, and now I'm not making nearly the amount of money that I told you that we would be making based on those projections. So you want to be as clear and concise as possible. If you're having ebbs and flows, share those as quickly as possible. Transparency wins, y'all. Contrary to what we're experiencing in this country right now, transparency is the way to go. In business, transparency is the way to go in relationships. And no matter what, okay, at the foundation of that business, just after you've established it in faith, you need to establish it in relationships. It's not about how quickly somebody can sign a check to you. It's about how beneficial that relationship long term is going to be, so that you can have that backup beyond just that initial investment. There might come another time in your business where you need another check cut. And if that's the case, there needs to be clear, concise, credible transparency up front. All right. Connect financials to your mission and story. It has to all flow. That's what that butterfly and sunflower and bridge were all about. Everything has to come together and harmonize in order for it to make sense. So whenever you're presenting your projections to funders, you have to make sure, and I think I messed up my slides here. So let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, you have to make sure that your sheets and your documentation look a little like this. So let me come over here. So these are things that I'm going to give you, and then I'm going to show you where you can find some information for free. So as we look at the projections, let me just see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. All right, can everyone see my screen okay? Yes?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you. So as we look at the projections, we go month over month for 12 months. Okay, that's the way it looks at the top. and we're able to identify exactly what we're going to put in each section down below. So at the very top, you're always going to have your revenue. Why? Because money has to come in order for it to go out. Okay. So you want to start with your sales, any additional revenue that's coming in, and identify where it's coming from. Is it coming from a subscription? Is it coming from an event? Is it coming from ads that you're posting on social media or thereabout? You want to make sure that all of that is easily identifiable so that you can determine exactly where you need to expense yourself later. The cost of sales. Ads are not free, and some of them are not cheap. So you want to make sure that you're incorporating that in your spreadsheet as soon as possible. All right. Any equipment that you have to use, you want to make sure that that is incorporated into the spreadsheet as well. When we get down to the bottom, we're getting down to the nuts and bolts of the business, the expenses, the things that have to be paid every single month, the things that are paid out quarterly, and then some things are just paid out annually. So you're able to identify this right here. And if we're looking at this snapshot of your projections and it starts to not make sense, then we have a problem, okay? We have to make sure that this is all clear. The other part of it is if you can see this little note right here, you can see there are comments, right? So just make yourself a little comment here. If you're like, hey, I know I did these numbers and I'm trying to figure out where they came from, make yourself a note, okay? Most people who identify with spreadsheets understand that those notes are there, those comments are there. Allow them to be able to click on them so that they can understand some things and be clear on what your thoughts were whenever you put these numbers together. If there is no clarity and questions continue to flow, the likelihood of someone making a decision, especially a quick one, on moving forward with investing in your business is very, very slim. Okay. So these are just some things that I incorporated into this spreadsheet just to kind of give you a synopsis of some of the expenses that you'll see. But you want to make sure that you think about your business and your industry specifically. So this one person stated that they have a nonprofit. So a nonprofit's expenses may look slightly different from another brick and mortar company that actually sells products. Does that make sense? So these are the reasons why understanding the expenses of your business, going as deep and as wide as you possibly can with those is extremely critical to make sure that your spreadsheet is as concise as possible. Now, this one over here, this one allows you to prepare for Ms. Smith, right? Who's going to come and talk to us about taxes. This is the sheet that helps you to identify, again, month over month, quarter over quarter, what am I doing in terms of revenue? Have I had to issue any refunds? What else is here? And let me tell y'all what, this is a top secret. Don't tell nobody. This is only on this call. I'm not gonna get in trouble for telling you, but don't tell my business, all right? This spreadsheet came right out of the tax document, right out of it. So straight from the IRS, these are all of the types of expenses that they allow. Let me see, let me refresh it here. These are all of the expenses that they allow you to write off, right? All of this goes here. And so once you have this all in a spreadsheet, you're prepared for tax season. No more running from the IRS or hiding your side hustle in your back pocket or in your backyard or in somebody else's name. None of that is necessary. Filing a tax return with your business is not going to harm you. I promise it won't. And in most cases, it is going to benefit you. Now, my last stop here is going to be at the SCORE website where we're able to identify some free resources. So both of us are, representatives of SCORE, and these are some templates that you're able to use that are completely free that help you to structure and set up your business projections as it relates to getting started in business or even scaling your business. This is not just for people who are starting out. This is also for people who are looking to scale or move their business forward as it relates to obtaining funding or getting someone to assist them financially. So you have financial projections template, you have the startup expenses, opening day balance sheet. All of these are crucial. If you are planning to get a loan, what does that amortization look like? How quickly and how well can you get that loan paid off and save money on interest in the meantime? All right. So thank you. Score.org is the website. Once you get to the website, at the very top, you can click on where it says templates and resources, and that gallery is there. All right. So let's see here. Just a couple of things that I want to help you push through to the end, and make sure that things are intact financially. Make sure that you're saving along the way. Please do not exhaust your savings accounts in starting the business. Let's leverage potentially some of them, but we're not going to exhaust them. We want to make sure that you are saving for retirement. We want to make sure that you are using your retirement well. And if you have questions about that, I'm more than happy to, help you to understand a little bit more about what that looks like. As it relates to, gauging some of these things, you want to understand what's your knowledge of financial literacy. Are some of these areas places where you lack knowledge, or there's some areas where you're stronger than others? These are some areas that you should definitely be able to assess yourself, both from a professional standpoint and as a business, personal standpoint, and from a business standpoint. You want to know exactly what your financial IQ is so that you can better make decisions. And then this is the list of all of the different spreadsheets and worksheets that you can utilize to make sure that your business financials are in order. These are the things that people are going to ask you for. And these are the reasons that they're asking you for them. The profit and loss statement is asking you about the measurement of profitability. Your balance sheet is just a suggestion of your assets and liabilities. Your cash flow statement is looking at the way money is coming in and out of your bank accounts. And then the revenue is anything that's earned in the business, okay? Your taxes and, of course, your business credit have to be intact as well. And these are all things that help you to better manage your business finances. And this is just a breakdown. You can take a screenshot of this chart, and it breaks down what each one of those spreadsheets and statements look like, so that you can get a clear understanding of what people are asking for and why. Okay. All right, so these are my sources here. SCORE, of course, is always a reasonable resource that we can use. ChatGPT, of course, is always a fan favorite, but it's also something that you have to cross-reference, okay? And then I'm in Mecklenburg County, but each county has its own lending program. Take full advantage of your county's economic development resources. That's what they're there for, and y'all, they're free, right? Most of the time, even their interest rates are lower than most conventional banks. So double check to see if your counties have some sort of economic development department and see if they're able to assist you. All right, so my last stop is things to do. Keep great records, not good records, not okay records, not mediocre records. Keep great records so that your tax accountant is not looking at you sideways whenever you bring them a trash can full of receipts, okay? Know your numbers. Understand your numbers better than your social security number. I promise you, people will love you if you can spit your numbers out very quickly and concisely. Understand the laws. Each business has its own set of laws, okay? So understanding what that looks like for your individual industry is going to be extremely critical. Keep great personal and business records and keep them separate, okay? We want to make sure that you understand that, yes, a lot of times whenever you're applying for things, they're going to be looking at your personal finances just as well as they're looking at those business projections. But if your records are intermingled or if they're not clear, then that's going to draw a lot of red flags, and it's probably going to cost you something that would have potentially helped you in business, all right? Always read, y'all. Just make sure that you're knowledgeable. These are some of my favorite books, just from a personal business or personal financial standpoint. These help you to make sure that you're intact. Get Good with Money by Tiffany Aliche is one of my personal favorites, but Secure the Bag, it's just a financial Bible to me. And The Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey is also a good one. And then Get Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki has, I mean, he's like the godfather of business finance. I think that his books are clear. I think that they are concise. I know y'all looking at me like, girl, this is a Black woman's event. Where are the Black authors on this page? I'm gonna find some. So that we don't always have to use Robert Kiyosaki, but I promise you, it's a good read and it does help you to identify good business financial acumen. All right. That is it. If you have questions, I'm not sure what the flow is, if we have time for Q&A, but certainly you can drop your questions in the chat or you can feel free to reach out to me at a later time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anithia Thomas. You gave us a boatload of information tonight. Oh my God, look, everybody applauding. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. And we started a little late, but if you all don't mind, we'll go a little bit over because we do want to have time for your questions. So I'll stop talking now and I'm going to turn the floor over to Dorothy Smith. Dorothy, the floor is yours.
Okay. Oh, that was good, Miss Thomas. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the video. So, can you see my screen? Oh no, I gotta share. Hold on one second. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, let me see. Okay. So, I was trying to find, let me move. Okay. So I am the owner of DMS Bookkeeping, and what I'm going to talk about is what new small businesses need to know about their taxes. Mine is going to be very simple. It's not going to be very long, but so this is my disclaimer. This is for information only. It's no legal advice, no HR, and the information is accurate as of today. So, topic of discussion. I'm going to talk about the tax filing requirements, some bookkeeping rules, then my contact information and Q&A. If you got questions, just stop me because I'm going to be going pretty fast because I know this information. And I love taxes. Taxes is my thing. So as a business owner, it's important to know that you're going to have your annual federal taxes, your state taxes, and your local taxes. Now, your state taxes have to be filed even if you don't make any money. Now, you don't have to file the federal taxes, but I do recommend that you file the federal taxes. Your federal taxes include your income taxes, and I'll explain some of them. Your payroll taxes if you have employees. Your self-employment taxes. Now, your self-employment taxes is for if you have a sole proprietor business, then you are required to pay your self-employment taxes if you make a profit. Then you have your quarterly taxes, your estimated taxes. Now, if you make a profit, you are required to pay estimated taxes every quarter. If you need me to explain that, I will. So now you have your state taxes. Now, your state taxes vary by location, but I'm in Tennessee. So we have the business taxes. Then we have the sales taxes. Now, your sales taxes is the taxes you pay on selling your products. That's your sales taxes. Then you have your franchise and excise taxes. These taxes is if you have an LLC, S corporation, or C corporation, you're going to be required to file your franchise and excise taxes. Then you have your annual report. Now, your annual report is for your LLC, S corporation, C corporation, as well as nonprofit. So all four of those are required to file the annual report, and it's due every year. And now you have your local taxes. Now, again, that might vary by city and county, but in Tennessee, we're required to file what is called a tangible personal property tax. So that's all the taxes that you're required to file as a business owner. Now, I'm going to give some bookkeeping tips, and I'll be piggybacking off some of the things that Ms. Thomas said. First of all, you should keep your business and personal accounts separate. Avoid mixing them together. Set up a simple bookkeeping system. You don't have to have QuickBooks or anything like that, but I did name a few of them. But you can use a simple spreadsheet, just like Ms. Thomas said, where it lists your income and your expenses. But if you want to use something automated, there's QuickBooks, Xero, Zoho Books, Sage, FreshBooks, Waves. It's a lot of them out there. I only focus on QuickBooks. I don't use anything else other than QuickBooks. Track your income and expenses. The main thing here is be consistent when you're tracking your income and expenses. I recommend at least once a month, because if you get behind, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to make up. Keep your supporting documents. Okay, the main thing here, keep your receipts and your tax returns. You can keep your invoices, but anything that supports your income and expenses, you're going to have to keep those. Remember the tax deadline. Now, there's a lot of tax deadlines other than April the 15th. You got deadline for the S corporation, deadline for the nonprofit. They're all different. So just stay aware of all the deadlines and try to stay consistent and organized. You want to do your bookkeeping again, like I said, at least monthly to keep you from falling behind. Now, here's my biggest recommendation. If you feel like you can't do any of this, hire a professional bookkeeper. So that's the main thing. Okay, so here's my contact information. Again, like I said, I'm in Memphis, so my phone number is 901-810-8100. My website is dorothy@dmsbizhelp.com. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I also have a website. And that's my presentation. I know I probably went too fast, but if you got any questions, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Dorothy Smith. You gave us some good information. We don't always want to talk about keeping our records and filing taxes and talking about Uncle Sam getting the taxes, but it's something that we have to do if we want to keep our business and stay in business and not get in trouble with the IRS. I'm going to open the floor up now to anyone who has questions. And I want to thank both of our panelists, Edwina and Dorothy. You gave some excellent advice. So we're going to open up the floor now for our panelists. Anyone that has questions, please open your mic and go ahead.
I would like to see those
Okay.
books again that the first speaker put that was from the females.
Oh, okay. She just wanted to see the books that you had.
This one?
Yes. I'll take a screenshot right quick so I won't hold things
No
up.
problem.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else with a question?
Yeah, Dorothy, you put your contacts up for a half a second. You need to put them up again. I know you said you talk fast. Can you put your contact information up again?
Yes, ma'am. Hold on one second. Let me. Oh, oh, did I take it down? Okay. It looked like I took it down. Hold on.
Okay. If you can put it in the chat too, if
Oh, okay. I'll do that.
you can write it in the chat. And while she's writing it in the chat, do we have any other questions? Okay. If no one's asking any questions, if no one has any questions, I have a few questions. Well, first of all, I kind of want to oh, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was trying to find the mute button or unmute it, but this is really, really good. There's a wealth of information that I'm just so happy to be a part of this. As far as Mrs. Thomas's statement on, and I'm trying to go back to my screenshot at the same time about communicating your business story in numbers. I take that to kind of get the understanding of like seeing those financial projections or seeing those products, but can you walk through an example of like what that looks like when you're forming it? Because I'm trying to kind of create that idea, but I want to take into context what you're saying as well.
Absolutely. So I'm going to bring back up that initial spreadsheet that I had it before. I just closed out of it, but I think that that's going to help me to explain it and give you a visual as well.
I appreciate that.
No problem. So when we talk about telling a story with your numbers, we want to make sure that this spreadsheet right here is clear. Okay. So what you're saying to them is what we're gonna, if you don't mind, what type of business do you have or considering, or we can make up one and we can create some numbers. But
we'll just say clothing for now.
okay, so clothing. And so do you anticipate doing any type of advertising on social media?
Yes.
Okay. And so what do you project that your clothing will do in revenue from those ads?
I don't know yet, but that is a good question. And yeah, this is where you see this is where you'll have to figure it out to figure like, hey, is this viable?
Right. So like what
Mhm.
type of clothing? If you're only selling hoodies and sweatshirts, well, guess what? There's hoodie and sweatshirt season. So people are more apt to purchasing hoodies and sweatshirts from August to March than they are in June and July, right? Depending on where they are in the country. So is
Exactly.
it going to be an online business or is it going to be a brick and mortar business? Those are the types of questions that you want to ask as you're starting to look at revenue. Is your business going to do pop-up shops? Okay. Are you going to be going to networking events? Do you plan to have merchandise there, or will people have to order that merchandise and have it shipped to them at a later time? Are you going to see about ways that you can get your merchandise into other brick and mortar businesses like Walmart or Target, or, well, we're not shopping at Target, but Walmart or, a local shop? Where are we putting that merchandise? And are we collaborating with other organizations and companies that are already in business and have a good clientele that we can leverage? Okay. One thing that I like to tell people is if you're just starting out, who do you know in business that you can collaborate with? And in what ways can you collaborate? These are all things that we can incorporate into that revenue side if we are having those strategic conversations that will boost our revenue projections and help us to identify a client base that doesn't already exist for our business alone. So what does that mean? That means that this organization right here, the Black Women Roundtable, right? So if I call Ms. Jocelyn and said, is it Joycelyn? I'm sorry. If I call you, Ms. Tate, and I say, hey, Ms. Tate, how many members do we have in this organization nationwide? And she said, I don't know, somewhere around 1,500, right? I said, okay, cool. Do you mind if I do a brand in my shirts or in my sweatshirts or hoodies that say Black Women Roundtable. She's like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Well, do you mind if we co-brand? So can I put my brand on the back of it and that on the front? She says, yes, absolutely. We'd be more than happy to support you. Guess what, Edwina? That means now you actually have 1,500 potential clients in your pipeline to
Right.
suggest that they will potentially purchase your sweatshirt. Does that make sense? So now you have a probable cause for
Absolutely.
sales. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we paint that picture and tell that story in numbers on this spreadsheet. Now, when we come down here to the expenses, if it's an online business, a lot of this can go out of the window because there's no brick and mortar unless you are housing that business in your home. That's a whole other topic. But guess what? Right here, you have a pipeline of expenses that you can use to determine, okay, am I going to utilize these expenses or do I want to show a larger revenue and bottom line in my net profit so that I can make this make more sense to an investor or even to myself as I'm looking to expand my business into other markets. And so when you talk about telling the story, if you're saying, hey, I need my bottom line to look as large as possible, then you want to scale back on the expenses with the exception of the things that cost money to make the money that you're bringing in revenue, right? But all the extra stuff that we put into this so that we can save money on our taxes, we might scale back on that and lean into using those as we need to from a personal financial standpoint instead of putting that into our projections. Does that make sense?
No, that's really clear. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Dr. Ward had her hand up. Dr.
Oh,
Ward, and then we'll come back to you.
okay.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you, Ednita, for the presentation, and Ms. Smith. I will definitely reach out to both of you. I'm so excited for this conversation, and thank you so much, Sister Melanie Campbell. I always get to see you and Win with Black Women. But I wanted to find out, how do you nurture the relationships to talk about Black women in particular being investors? Like, how do you build that establishment, and are there any research behind Black women being investors and other Black women to be able to help us get to that threshold of greatness that's going to be needed long-term for businesses?
Can you ask your question one more time?
Yeah, I wanted to find out if there's any research behind Black women investing in other Black women to support businesses that I can learn about, to be able to help us get over the threshold with all that's happening nationally. Like, do we have some sort of database that actually show how to foster relationships with each other to be able to lean in on the support mechanisms that can be super helpful for us?
Yes. I was at an event this past or 2 weeks ago called Black Women Invest. That's an organization that specifically looks to invest in small businesses, especially Black women who are looking to start businesses or scale businesses. Her name is Shello, Sheolo. She is a wonderful lady, and that organization has really orchestrated some really valuable tools and assets that are meant to help women not only understand how to scale their businesses from other women investing into it, but also how to utilize your own investment tools and resources to build your own pipeline to, build capital for your own business. There are other organizations that are predominantly women led, like the Links. Even within this organization, I would imagine that there are women who are looking to put their money behind some other woman. Most of the time, those conversations aren't had, right? because we're not necessarily having conversations as it relates to investing in business. We're more so just talking about how we can connect and collaborate, but not necessarily invest. So I would recommend looking within your circle, and these are people that you already trust. These are people that you already know. Ask them if they're interested in investing or what their goals are, and find out what those commonalities are, and then start to reach out to some of those outside sources. But I will find a link to Black Women Invest and a few others, and I will drop those in the chat for you.
Okay, Teresa Jennings, you had a question?
Hey, yes, thank you. Miss Thomas.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
I don't necessarily, as a real estate agent, we don't necessarily sell products. So how does what you spoke about like how does that relate to real estate?
I
Like
love my
how can I
realtor friends.
relate that?
I love my realtor friends, because it's really no different. Depending on the organization that you're with, like I
Mhm,
know I've sat in on several of the KW trainings, and they
mhm.
have something that they do every year called Bold, where they help you to assess what your goals
Yes.
are and then, of course, move
Yes.
forward, right? So that's
Mhm.
one. Doing the GPS works, making sure that you know exactly how to orchestrate those goals. Look at your trends, depending on how long you've been a realtor. You can look at your trends. Do you have a busier season versus a slower season? I have a friend here in Charlotte. That lady, I don't know what type of gold her phone is made of, but there
Mhm.
is no such thing as a slow season. She's always busy. Um,
Okay,
and
that's good.
so another thing I would recommend you to do is connect with
Uh-huh.
other realtors who are successful. Ask them, what are you
Mhm.
doing?
Right.
How can I, really leverage my contacts? Write them down and find out, okay, how can I structure my next 3 months in sales? All
Mhm.
right. Start with your list of people. Who wants to buy? Who wants to sell? Are they ready?
Mhm.
Who's on your team? Do you have an insurance broker? Do you have a person who helps with credit? I'm here. Do you have a person who, assists with um, doing your um,
Inspections.
inspections? And yes, all of these people matter, right? Who do they
Right.
know? Are they referring
Right.
people to you? Because you're referring
Right.
people to them. Build your
Mhm.
pipeline this way and start getting your brand out there. And then from there, okay, what are my goals? What are my numbers? How
Mhm.
many homes do I need to
Mhm.
sell to feed my family? How many
Right.
homes do I need to sell to invest another $5,000 over here or another
Mhm.
$10,000 over there? That's how you start really putting those projections on paper and telling that story. So when you're ready to start expanding your portfolio as a
Mhm.
as a realtor or as an investor yourself,
Mhm.
you can build from
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
there. Mhm.
Any other questions? Just step right in, unmute yourself. If no one has a question, I do want to ask you one, Ednethia. What kind of software would you use for the financial projection spreadsheet? Is there a type of software that you would recommend where you can just put the numbers in and they change? Or what software were you using when you showed that?
Oh, that was just Google Sheets.
Just a Google Sheet.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's cloud-based. It's just like, well, not just like, but it's very similar to Excel, but it's just cloud-based. It's
Mhm.
easy to share, and it's easy for another person to hop into it with you and take a look at those numbers in real time without having to download and upload and go back and forth like that.
Okay. And I have a question for you, Ms. Smith. You talked about it when you talked about the different types of things that different businesses will need. like an LLC or nonprofit, they will need to have their annual report as well, and all of these. Can you kind of go back over those again? What a sole proprietor would need, has to file, what an LLC, what a nonprofit.
Yeah, yeah. So the sole prop
Oh, and
is
excuse me, and
okay. Okay.
when they need to.
Yeah. So the sole prop, normally they just file the Schedule C. And so with that Schedule C, then that's where the self-employment comes in if they make a profit. Now, the sole prop, the LLC, and the S corporation, the information, the income, and the expenses flows through to the 1040. So the 1040 is due April the 15th, but the S corporation, take the S corporation for instance, that's due March the 15th. It's due 30 days before the 1040. So that's the sole prop. And like I say, for Tennessee, the sole prop just have a local tax to file. So I recommend that everybody start off with the sole prop because of the tax obligations that all the other entities will have. So then you got the LLC. Again, the LLC is just on the Schedule C, and it flows through to the 1040. The LLC, now you got your franchise and excise taxes. You got to file your annual report. Those are additional costs, and those are state. So the state, you have to file those even if you do not make any money. And then you have the S corporation. The S corporation, again, it flows through to the 1040 and it's due March the 15th. The S corporation, you got your franchise and exercise, you got your annual report, and then the other thing is you have to put yourself on payroll with the S corporation because the IRS look at the S corporation as a separate entity. So you have to put yourself on payroll. And then you got the C corporation, which is due April 15th. So that you got the annual report, you got your franchise and excise. It's gonna be a lot. And then you got the nonprofit. The nonprofit is a totally different animal. You got your annual report. You have to set yourself up on payroll. You have to file those 990s. If you miss 3 years of filing, they automatically revoke your nonprofit. So you have to keep up to date on those. So yeah, that's it. That's all the entities and all the
So
requirements.
So from what I'm hearing, because a lot of times you hear when people want to start their business, the first thing they do is they go and they want to get an LLC, to kind of shelter themselves from having to pay. But from what you're saying, a sole proprietorship is better because you don't have to pay all of those extra expenses that you have to pay if you have an LLC, an S corp, or a C corp. So it's better if you start out if you're starting out, in order to reduce the amount of tax liability that you have and the things that you have to pay out, it's better to start as a sole proprietorship.
Yes, it's better. But now again, like you said, some people want the protection, but like I say, you're gonna pay, and then if you commingling funds, if you're LLC and you don't separate that account, you don't have your business and personal separated, you're not protected anyway. So I just don't recommend it unless, like Ms. Thomas said, unless you really understand your numbers and know what your business is doing. I just don't recommend it. That's just my take on it. You don't have to listen to me, but that's just my take.
We're listening to you because you're
I
the
have a
expert.
question. I have a
Yes, go
question
ahead
for
with
Ms.
your question.
I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
want to follow up with that. So you're saying that if you have an LLC, you should file that separate from your personal taxes?
No, ma'am,
Oh,
not file it from your personal taxes. You need to have a business bank account and a personal bank account.
oh, okay, I got
It need to, your bank accounts need to be separate. Because if you're LLC and you commingling funds, you're not protected.
Thank you.
Now, if you have a sole proprietorship, can you have one account or would it be good to have two?
So if you have a sole proprietorship, you can have one account. Again, I don't recommend it, because what if you decide you want to move to one of those other entities? Then you got to separate the account. So I say start off separating the accounts anyway. Get into the habit of doing that. So if you decide to move to the other entities, then you don't have to worry about that. You're already in the habit of doing it. So just start out doing it.
Great information. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure. Go right ahead.
I just wanted to go back to Ms. Thomas's statement about the spreadsheet being in Google Docs. So is there a template there, or is that something that she created?
Yes, there is a template on the SCORE website. If you go to the templates, you'll see the financial projections download there, but I can also drop it in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? This is just a wealth of information, ladies. We really appreciate everything that you're sharing with us here tonight. Any more questions? Well, hearing none, I do want to take a moment and have you do a survey. We try to take a survey so that we can see how well you enjoyed this session. So I'm pulling the questions up now. Do you see the survey? If you could answer those questions really quickly. Does everyone see the survey on your screen? Yeah, okay. We'll leave it up for for about another minute or so people can answer the questions. And while you're answering those questions, I just want to let you know that we have our other sessions that will be coming up, and I want to tell you what those sessions are. Because this is our third session in the Wealth Builder series. On November 13th, we will be having our fourth session, which is what to look for when hiring a lawyer and an accountant for your business, and how to protect your intellectual property for your business. That's very important. A lot of people don't know how to protect their property or how not to infringe on somebody else's copyright. So this is going to be a very important session to help you protect any logos that you make, or how you protect any type of inventions that you make. So that session is going to be on November the 13th. We'll be at the same location, be at the same time, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On November 18th, we're going to have a session on how to use digital marketing, branding, and e-commerce tools for your business. As Ms. Thomas mentioned earlier, if you have an online business where you don't have a brick and mortar location and you're selling things online, you need to know how to use those e-commerce tools, and so that you don't sell one item in two different places. Maybe you're selling it on your website and you might be selling it in a brick and mortar store, or selling it on another type of site as well. So you can use those e-commerce tools to help you keep up with your inventory. And also, marketing and branding for your business is always important. So we'll be talking about that as well on November 18th. Same time, same place. How to use digital marketing and branding and e-commerce tools for your business. And then our last session, session 6, is on November 20th. And we will be talking about how to use AI tools for your business. AI, everybody's talking about AI, how do you use it? What is it? We're going to get into it and how you can use AI tools that are helpful for your business to help you do things that help you do things that will save you some time in your business. So you'll be surprised at some of the things that you can use AI for in your business that can really help you manage your time much better. So I'm waiting now. If anybody else has any other questions, you can ask them now. If not, we will close this session out.
One question, now that
Okay.
we're on your list, will we automatically be invited to the next classes?
Well, what you'll have to do is just go in and register for each session.
Oh, okay.
I think let me back up a little bit. Let me ask Dr. Baylor. Dr. Baylor, once they've registered once, do they have to register again?
So whenever you did the registration form, it gave you an option to select the sessions you wanted to participate in. So if you selected it, it's the same Zoom link. So if you selected it, you'll get the reminder. But if you
Oh,
send us an email, we can check to see if you registered for all the sessions or just this one.
oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Dr. Ward, you have a question. Go right ahead.
Yes, just one final question. And again, thank you for the session. Would there be any working groups that we can have after the session, like a discussion?
No, at this time we don't have any type of after session working groups. But I'll just take the liberty to say that Ms. Thomas and Ms. Smith have both given you their information. So if you need to contact them for some further information, I'm sure that they would be happy to talk to you.
Yeah, I have meetups every Monday at 9 a.m. I'm happy to share that information with you.
Oh, do you have where you can put that in the chat there so people can see where they would join you for your meetup?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see.
And as she puts that in the chat, I'm going to open it up one more time for any questions. And if there are none, we will close this session out.
Oh. Hello,
Oh,
how you doing,
hi.
Joycelyn? I just want to
Hi.
say I enjoyed both speakers, and I just thank the ladies for the information. It was a wealth of information that was shared on tonight, and I'm going to go back and look at everything as well. I was trying to get the survey. I didn't see the survey come up on my phone, so I
You
was trying to
didn't?
do that. No.
Okay, let's
It
see.
came up and I wasn't able to finish because it went off and then it quickly showed the results and went off again.
Okay, now, I don't know if I can do it again without losing the results that are already here. So, let's see. I'm just going to have to ask you ladies if you weren't able to see it.
Well, I started it. I just didn't get through all
You
the.
weren't able to finish it,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure why it went off. I don't think I can do it again without losing the results that I have. Let's see. What I will ask you to do is I will put an email in the chat, and you can contact me, and I will give you the survey questions and you can answer them that way. How about that? Okay.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right. Okay, for anyone that was not able to answer the survey questions, for whatever reason, I have put an email in the chat. You can reach out to me at that email. It's bwrtech@ncbcp.org. Let me know that you want to answer the survey questions. I will send you the questions and you can answer them that way. Okay. And with that, I want to thank our guests today, Dorothy Smith and Ednitha Thomas. Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful information that you shared with us today about financial protection projections and getting your business finances in order and your taxes in order. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, ladies. We'll look to see you next week, same time, same place. Have a great evening.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.